where the players play, and we ride on the things like it's time for the crushing interview.
Hey man, we're going to this crushing interview brought to you by Oracy Software, the Oracy team. You can go to oracy.com to find out more. That's orasi.com to find out more about Oracy. Their motto is when the customer engages one of us, they engage all of us. We're going to this Oracy Software crushing interview with our guest Neima Abdulahi. So Maceo, please introduce our guest properly.
Well, you just did all that, and now we just found out she got bars for days.
I used to back in the day.
Naima, what's good? East Side, Decatur.
You know it is.
Let's go. Let's go.
Burr.
Burr.
There you go.
My first question.
What's good?
How did you get into the industry? Let's
So,
talk about it.
Right. So Decatur High School had a really good journalism program where once a month we used to put on a newscast. And it used to be a 30-minute newscast. It used to play during homeroom. And that was my hobby. My mom was like, why don't you do other stuff? I'm like, no, Mom, this is really cool. Video editing, shooting, interviewing people. And then went off to college at Elon University and continued with my storytelling passion. And then worked at Fox Charlotte. And then ended up coming back home a year and a half ago.
Was the goal always to come back to Atlanta and do news?
The goal was always to come back in Atlanta and do news. Atlanta is a city that has so much history,
right.
From civil rights to so many different pivotal moments that have happened where it's not only a mecca for a music genre, but it's also a mecca for so many other cultural phenomenons.
Right.
And growing up here and witnessing so much history, I wanted to be able to tell that story from the perspective of a local, but also from the perspective of a journalist and giving other people the ability to share the story of Atlanta on the news every single day. So that was always a passion to come back home.
Now, I got to get into this hip-hop documentary because it's fascinating to me because I love hip-hop so much. And with us being in Atlanta, what gave you the idea to let's put this together?
Yeah, so Atlanta, hip-hop is something that cannot be ignored in any newsroom. It's part of Atlanta's identity. When unfortunate things happen, we're always there. But do we give it an opportunity for us to unravel the complexities that come along with that? So, we saw what happened to Young Mozzie, we saw what happened to Bankroll Fresh, we saw what happened to other people, and we were just like, okay, how can we best explain this culture where it's not so much about the negativity, but we explain it from the perspective of a multi-billion-dollar industry.
Right.
How do we break it down that Atlanta was able to be that third coast? How was it able to get that attention and own it till this day? And my managers, I commend them so much. They said, well, that shouldn't be just one story. Why don't we do a 30-minute special? I was like, wait, what? 30 minutes? I just wanted 3.
Yeah.
So I had their support, and it was an amazing support. So, shout out to Gucci Mane for making himself available, Rick Ross, Zaytoven, so many people who were able to be a part of that story, and Bankroll's family, too, for sharing that story because, PJ's carrying on that legacy. There's so many people carrying on that legacy right now that I wanted to tell that full picture of Atlanta's hip-hop culture. And I'm a music head. It's hip-hop saved my life. As a kid, when you're listening to, Biggie Smalls tell you, the sky's the limit. Nas tell you, the world is yours. And, Goody Mob and Outkast tell you, get up, get out, and get something. You start to really believe in those messages as a kid. There's the other negativity in the music, but it really encouraged me as a kid that anything could be possible. You could really go from, bankhead to being a billionaire. And when you see those storylines in your own community, it encourages you to become a success story.
Do you feel like the Atlanta scene now gets more negative because of some of the things going on in the hip-hop game? Because we did grow from the Outkast, Goody Mob, to the organized noise to what we got now with some of the younger talents. Do you feel like even today the Atlanta scene gets the credit it deserves, or are we getting more of the blame that it shouldn't be getting for today's hip-hop?
I think the credit is there from the producer standpoints. Producers in Atlanta have become the superstars. You got Mike Will, you got Zaytoven, you have all these producers who are well known. Everyone is a star in Atlanta. But I was listening to Lil Boosie interview that he did where he criticized Jay-Z for saying, put that rack down that you're holding up to your ear. One thing Boosie said that really resonated with me, he said, I make music for those guys too.
Right.
You know, so it's like your audience is such a wide audience in the hip hop culture. And then if you look at the socioeconomics of Atlanta, the people who love hip hop come from all walks of life.
Right.
So I feel like, you know, while the negativity is there and it influences on the negative side, you know, people who wouldn't admit to their grandma that they listen to that music still listen to that music.
Right.
It's always a reflection of the community. I think it was Chuck D who said, you know, hip hop is the CNN of the streets.
Without a doubt.
Without a doubt.
One of my favorite shows right now is The Rap Game.
Yeah.
With Jermaine Dupri.
Yeah.
And what's funny about the
Street,
show?
my favorite. Yeah.
Exactly. Street Bud.
Street Buzz, shout out.
What's crazy about watching the show is I really don't think parents really understand the grind, and the artists too. They don't understand the grind. Like, it just doesn't happen like overnight. Where a lot of people think that. Do you see a lot of that in covering hip hop, talking about hip hop?
Yeah, I used to intern under Greg Street, and I consider him my mentor, someone who saw me as an intern. I used to ride the MARTA, you know, broke as a joke, trying to get to the station on time, and then MARTA would never be on time. So you know how that went. But, you know, in the hip-hop game, it takes anywhere from 5 to 7 years for you to even take off. You know, the amount of time it takes to even become a successful artist is an investment. You know, if you just want to go viral, you can do that. But in order to make money, to make a living, and to be a brand, and to be copywritten, and to, you know, be, you know, in order to make a lot of money, it's going to take a long time. People think, you know, Migos took off when Glover got on stage, but they've been on,
Right.
you know,
They've been doing it for a
Hannah
long
Montana,
time.
you know,
Right.
Trap Out the Bando. Like, you know, they've been around for,
And people act like Migo just started.
yeah,
They've been
no.
around for-
Versace.
I hated that song.
I did too.
But it was catchy.
I hate everything you just mentioned.
But you knew everything I
I knew it
mentioned.
because I got kids, and then I was going around to my Hannah
Blame it on
Montana
the
and all
kids.
that.
For the
Blame it on the
culture.
kids.
For the
Yeah,
culture.
Keep blaming it on us. As we ride out to get rich to this. When we come back, man, we're going to talk to Neima about not only doing that, but how do you transition into these serious stories as well. We're going to talk about that when we get back. Stay with us, Sister Crush.
Coming to Tampa Bay, I said we want to win a Super Bowl, and I believe we will.
From IamSecond.com,
We came close, but never really did win that championship.
former NFL head coach Tony Dungy.
At the end of my 6th year, I was fired, and it was one of the biggest disappointments of my life. Next year, I'm in Indianapolis, get to the playoffs, but get knocked out again. And for the next couple of years, it's the same thing. Everyone is saying Colts are never going to win one. And I did wonder, why didn't it pan out the way I thought it would? But I determined that I had to have Christ first, and that everything else came below that, including my own desires. The next year, that ended up being our year to go to the Super Bowl and win it, and it was a wonderful feeling. Every decision I make, I'm going to make it through the lens of Jesus Christ, and He guides us to that ultimate victory. I'm Tony Dungy, and I am second.
When I grow up, I want to be a new pair of blue jeans.
When I grow up, I want to be a kid's first computer.
I want to be a warm place on a
I
cold
want to be
day.
a football
I want to be a
stadium.
bike that races around the country.
I want to be a bench on a forest trail.
When I grow up, I don't want to be a piece of garbage. And if you recycle me, I won't be.
Give your garbage another life. Recycle. Learn how at iwanttoberecycled.org. Brought to you by Keep America Beautiful and the Ad Council.
No word in the English language is less convincing than probably.
Are you sure we should get matching tattoos on our first date?
Sure. We'll probably stay together.
Probably? It's been 23 minutes since I ate. I can probably swim.
You should wait 30 minutes.
Okay, now tell me what to do. Cannonball! Cramp! Oh, I have a cramp.
I can probably hit the green from here.
Probably.
Can I get a mulligan?
Ready to go?
Hey, are you sure you're okay to drive?
Yeah, I'm pretty sober. Yeah, I'm probably okay.
Probably okay isn't okay, especially when it comes to drinking and driving. If you're drinking, call a cab, a car, or a friend. Buzz driving
is drunk driving. A message brought to you by NHTSA and the Ad Council.
Hey, we're back, man. We're doing our question interview brought to you by Orsi Software right now with Neima Abdulahi.
There you go.
Hey, that's it.
I knew we was going to get there.
We're going to get there.
We're professionals.
We
I
talk
love
about
it.
your love hip-hop, but also you do a great job on the air daily. How do you focus and make sure you get the stories that's out there? You want to make sure they portray a certain way, and you make sure that it sounds, credible, legitimate, and all that good stuff when you're out there on the beach, as they say.
It's really about relatability. Can you go out on a story in the West Side and relate to the people you're interviewing? Can you go to Vine City, English Avenue? Can you go to Cobb County, Fulton County, more affluent communities? It's all about relatability and meeting someone on a human eye-to-eye level where, you're not feeling sorry for them. You're just wanting to get their real story and have the world understand their perspective. Sometimes stories are emotionally challenging. Some stories I take home with me every now and then where it impacts me because I'm a human being by the end of the day. But by the end of the day, it's always knowing that no matter how tragic the story is, there's always a light at the end of the tunnel. And when you interview someone at the most vulnerable moments in their life, you're giving them an opportunity to share someone's legacy, to tell the world what gets them out of bed every morning. So, it's therapy for them to talk to media, to talk to someone outside of their circle. It's tough, but I know that me being from here, me, growing up on, Memorial Drive and being in different socioeconomic communities, I see a little bit of myself in the everyday people that I interview. So I always feel like I'm one of them.
People laugh about the amount of research and reading that we have to do for the job that we do. Just talk about your preparation, your day. How do you get going knowing that I got to cover this, I got to do this, I done pitched the story, now let's put the work in?
Well, for example, today I did a story about the proposed federal 2019 budget. So I had to read the budget and understand it. And then not only that, but how can I, dummy this down so an everyday person can understand this, and then talking to the right people and then getting the USDA's, take on it, and then getting food banks' take on a possible change to food stamps. So most of my shift today was just like, flipping pages, trying to understand things and try to make sure that I'm helping people, get the summary version of something that is dense, something that is complicated. So half the shift is usually like a lot of research. But some days, it's all about it's more about shooting, because I'm a shooter too. I shoot my own stories. Right. I edit my own stories. And then I shoot myself talking to you on camera. So when you see me, that was me, Yeah, that was doing everything. That was me.
Everything.
Yeah.
I don't have no cameraman with me.
What's good? What's good?
Decatur, where's greater?
So I do everything. So some days it's all about that visual storytelling more than the characters. Some days it's really, something terrible that happened where I have to focus on the emotion of the story. Some days it's facts, like today, covering the budget. So every day is something else. I think that's what I like about my job. Is like we cover 52 counties. You never know which county you gonna get sent to.
52, wow.
52, 2 hours in each direction.
So let me ask this,
I like that part, not knowing what my day looks like.
So let me ask this, though. You spend all that time researching. You do all that, but you got to cut it down to about a minute and a half.
Yeah.
What goes into that? Because you got a lot of meat to the story, but you're like, I got to cut this.
Got to cut that
down.
Can't use that.
That was a good part, but I don't know if that's going to be too long.
Right. So fun. So a real life example of this. Tonight at 11, I have a special airing about Tommy Smith, who in the 1968 Olympics with John Carlos held his fist up in the air in protest for racial.
That's on the bucket list.
That's on the bucket list. I can help you with that. I got his number now.
Yeah, let's get that.
So, I interviewed him about how it felt like in 68, and it's going to air tonight at 11 o'clock on 11 Alive. Not only that, but interviewed him about, what the correlation is between his protests and the current protests in the NFL. We also talked about the current administration. He wanted to chime in on that. So, you know, you have this 20-minute interview, and then you come back, and, you know, you just got to get to the meat of the story. Typically, it's 1:30. But we pushed it to 3.
Oh, you got 3 out of it.
Yeah, because it was just like sometimes you have to let the story tell itself, and it's not so much about the time restraints. So, you know, I just went back and I said, hey, this story will feel incomplete if it's less than this time. And manager said, okay, let's do it. And it's going to air tonight.
Okay.
Tommy's a legend.
Yeah, he is.
He deserves 3 MO.
Tommy Smith.
Yeah, it's crazy.
The power of social media in what we do. Talk about the time you have to spend on social media and make sure getting the word, getting the message out.
Right. So for me, most of my social media time is actually spent looking at people's reactions to big stories. You know, you got to figure out what the big talkers are. I tweet before my shift. I tweet during my shift. I tweet after my shift. You know, Instagram, there's just like, you know, Facebook Live. There's just so much. And you got to do that because people are no longer, you know, appointment television viewers. That's the old days when you just sat on the couch. Okay, it's 5 o'clock.
Almost time.
Let me turn that TV on.
Let's see what she got.
You know, so it's like this is no longer an appointment television generation where you have to go to the people where they are, and if they're interested in the quality of, you know, what you're telling them, then they'll come to you. Same way we have a Facebook Live going on right now. You know, people may not be in their cars. Right? People are at their dinner table right now, and when they see an alert come up where we're on, they're going to say, okay, let me go watch that. Right. So it's about going where the viewers are and bringing them into your platform,
right?
And then to hear what your message is all about. But social media is everything. I clap back every now and then.
Yeah, you sound like you got that in you.
I clap back responsibly.
Yeah,
I love my job.
Tweet responsibly, everybody.
That's gonna be the word.
Think before you press send.
Responsible clapback.
Yes.
I really read it about 4 times before you press send. That's my motto. You know what?
Hey, I've sent a tweet in draft to my coworker Jennifer Bellamy to approve before. So.
Shout out to Jennifer.
Yeah, she stopped me a few times.
Hey, when we come back, Prime, you know what time it is. It's time to get the hot seat ready. We're gonna put it in the hot seat when we come back. Stay with us.
No word in the English language is less convincing than probably.
Are you sure we should get matching tattoos on our first date?
Sure. We'll probably stay together.
Probably? It's been 23 minutes since I ate. I can probably swim.
You should wait 30 minutes.
Okay, now tell me what to do. Cannonball! Cramp! Oh, I have a cramp. I can probably hit the green from here. Probably. Can I get a mulligan?
Ready to go?
Hey, are you sure you're okay to drive?
Yeah, I'm pretty sober. Yeah, I'm probably okay.
Probably okay isn't okay, especially when it comes to drinking and driving. If you're drinking, call a cab, a car, or a friend. Buzzed driving is drunk driving. A message brought to you by NHTSA and the Ad Council.
You use Tearless Baby Shampoo because it's gentle on your baby's eyes. You make sure his toys don't have any sharp edges. You always test the bathwater to make sure it's not too hot. You taught her what to do when the smoke alarm goes off. You make sure she wears a helmet when she rides her bicycle. You put on his sunscreen, even when he's embarrassed his friends will see. You do so much to keep your child safe. But are you using the right car seat for your child? Is your child facing the right way in the car seat? Is the seat too big or too small? How do you know when it's time to move your child into the next type of seat? Car crashes are a leading killer of children ages 1 to 13. Protect your child's future at every stage of life. For information on the right seat for your child, visit safercar.gov/the-right-seat. That's safercar.gov/the-right-seat.
A message from the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Why is Connor having trouble focusing in school?
Having trouble finding Connor's middle school? Would you like directions?
No, why is Connor having trouble focusing in school?
Finding lowest airfare to Istanbul.
No, I'm tired of fighting with him over homework.
home, walk, restaurant. Need a review?
No, I need help. He's very smart, but his mind wanders. He's disorganized.
I think I understand.
Oh, good.
Finding best potatoes for French fries.
No!
Russet, fingerling, Yukon Gold.
Why don't you understand me?
Sorry, I was trying to show how Connor feels every day. Frustrating, isn't it? Redirecting to understood.org.
For the 1 in 5 kids with learning and attention issues, this is what life can feel like. Explore understood.org, a free online resource about learning and attention issues, designed to help your child thrive in school and in life. Understood.org, because understanding is everything.
Brought to you by understood.org and the Ad Council.
Sensation Station Network. How that we have your attention. Knock them down.
Yeah, it was.
Radio, knock them down. Time for the hot seat hotline.
4, 3, 2, 1. All right, man, it's that time. We're going to throw Naima in the hot seat. We're going to throw some questions at you real quick. Give us your first quick response if you can.
Let's do
You
it.
ready? What you got, Mace?
Best part about being from the A.
The culture.
Are you, name your favorite hip-hop album of all time.
A lot of people may not agree with me on this one. Get Rich or Die Trying.
Classic.
Boy, that's classic.
Yeah.
I hear the 2 quarters already.
Best story you've covered in Atlanta so far.
Story about a gas station in Clayton County, the first African-American owned gas station.
I know it well.
In a county that is 65% black.
Believe it.
Awesome, awesome. When you first got hired at 11 Alive News, what were your thoughts?
I made it! I get to work with Brenda! That's what I call her. I was like, Mama, I'm working with Brenda.
Working with Brenda?
Difference between TV and radio.
Audience. In what? Music or news?
From your time at V103 to what you're doing now.
Audience.
Wow. Best advice you've been given since you've been on the air?
Be yourself. Authentic. Represent.
Favorite social media platform?
Instagram.
So your IG movement.
Well, you know, Twitter takes too much to find what you need. You know, Instagram, you can follow 2 accounts.
And get everything.
So, yeah.
Quick
Baller
question.
alert.
All right, it's funny here. 2-part. How many selfies you take a day, and how many actually make it to IG?
I'll probably take a selfie every 2 or 3 weeks. Yeah, I'm not, you know, I'm not on that selfie game. I'm more of, you know, here's where I've been, here's what's on my plate kind of girl. But yeah, seldom.
Seldom?
But maybe I would have more followers if, you know, if I put a little filter on it.
I'm putting it out there.
Your go-to song to get your day going?
Liberation.
Oh, that's
bold.
Erykah Badu and Outkast.
With CeeLo.
Dungeon family.
I've been so long.
Struggling, hopelessly staring at 40 days. I can't sing, y'all, but that will never stop me.
That's a great
That's
song.
what I want to let you know.
Who have you met so far that you've been like, oh wow?
As in, like,
Superstars. Anybody you met that made you even say, man, I'm a little starstruck right now?
Yo Gotti.
Really?
I don't know why. I was like, whoa, that's Yo Gotti.
Yo Gotti.
Did he have the Tiffany blue cars out? Did he have the Drew? Was
Well, no,
he wearing all white?
He was wearing all white. We used to have all his mixtapes back in the day, back in Decatur, and it was just like, whoa, that was unreal. But outside of that, I was starstruck when I first saw John Lewis. He spoke at my high school graduation. And me being a history nerd, it was just like, oh my God. And then I had to get on stage and introduce him at graduation. Wow. So I was like, Mr. John Lewis said, stand in the way and make sure you get in good trouble. So that was very, yeah, he's one of my idols.
How many times have you dropped from Decatur where it's greater on air?
On air? I haven't done it yet.
You done
I
thought
need
about
to.
it, though.
Yes, I have. Plenty of times. Plenty of times. I've done stories right around the block where I grew up all the time. But one day, when it's appropriate.
I can see it now. From Decatur, where it's greater.
Decatur, where it's greater.
No doubt.
And you off the hot seat.
Yeah.
We got questions when we come back, though. Hey, real quick. You an ATL fan when it comes to sports?
You know, I had to convert back to Atlanta sports because I was in North Carolina for, 8 years.
You were in Charlotte, were you?
So, huh?
You were in Charlotte, were you?
I was.
Panthers.
704, baby.
It was hard not to support him. Luke Kuechly is a great guy. Thomas Davis is a great guy.
No, he's not. I talked to Thomas Davis.
But I had to convert back to, supporting Atlanta teams.
Whatever, Thomas Davis. We'll be right back.
No word in the English language is less convincing than probably.
Are you sure we should get matching tattoos on our first date?
Sure. We'll probably stay together.
Probably? It's been 23 minutes since I ate. I can probably swim.
You should wait 30 minutes.
Okay, now tell me what to do. Cannonball! Cramp! Oh, I have a cramp. I can probably hit the green from here. Probably. Can I get a mulligan?
Ready to go?
Hey, are you sure you're okay to drive?
Yeah, I'm pretty sober. Yeah, I'm probably okay.
Probably okay isn't okay, especially when it comes to drinking and driving. If you're drinking, call a cab, a car, or a friend. Buzzed driving is drunk driving. A message brought to you by NHTSA and the Ad Council.
I'm more resourceful than I thought.
My suit can still make an impression.
My video games are still game changers.
And my lamp can bring others a bright future.
Because when I donate my stuff to Goodwill,
it helps fund job placement and training for people right in my community.
Now my stuff gets a second chance.
And will give someone in my community
a second chance too.
Goodwill. Donate stuff, create jobs. Find your nearest donation center at goodwill.org. That's goodwill.org. This message brought to you by Goodwill and the Ad Council.
The Women of Power Summit, brought to you by Black Enterprise, highlighting the best in Black excellence for over 4 decades. This year's summit will be held in Florida, and we're inviting all of our listeners to come and enjoy the magic. March 7th through the 10th, 4 days in sunny Orlando with over 1,000 energized, influential women, intentional in growth and substance over competition. Undivided how we'll stand with the Women of Power. It's the summit you can't afford to miss, from the Macy's shopping party to the Ultimate Girls Night Turn-Up or the 13th Annual Legacy Awards with previous recipients like Alfred Woodard, Henry Greer, Vanessa Williams, Felicia Rashad, Ruby D, to this year's Donna Brazile, Jane Kennedy Overton, Carmen D. Lavalade, and Edith Cooper. It's power on your own terms. Jerry G from Sensation Station's Destiny Talk will be your guide for your ultimate summit experience. Stop right now. Go to ssnatl.com to start your powerful journey. Click the links for more info or go to blackenterprise.com/WPS.
Women are power.
Hey, we're back, man. In our question interview right now with Neima Abdulahi. Does your mood or story, when you have a story, can it, you said bringing it home with you. I always ask this to all of these people. How hard is it sometimes to say, this is my job, and trying to disconnect? You say you can't sometimes, but trying to disconnect, because you have to do a story one day and got to get ready for the next. It ain't no holding on to that story. You got to be ready for the next day. How do you try to disconnect or try to disconnect from story that might touch the heart sometimes?
So when you meet people at the most vulnerable points in their lives, right, you can't just be a drive-by journalist where you drive into their life, get what you want, and drive out, and that's it, right? Because these people opened up their homes for you. They shared stories with you. For me, personally, I'm always, texting them, checking up on them. It's a personal connection. It's more than just meeting deadline and calling it a day. For me, it's finding out, how's day 2, how's day 3, how's day 4. And for me, that also helps me cope with the story, knowing that there's progress in the situation. But then on the journalism side, it helps me advance the story, so it's not just about when the crime scene tape was up. It's about what goes down after the tape comes down. And I think that's the most valuable thing in journalism, is not walking away from a story when it's no longer, you know, hot, when the cop cars are no longer there. You know, you have to stay persistent. You have to be visible in the communities. You got to be more than just an example. You have to be part of the community, which is why I'm always going to elementary schools and talking to kids. You know, when a kid sees you and sees you as an example of what they could be, you know, it's not enough just to be on the TV screen and they're looking up at you. You got to be where they are and tell them you can also make it too.
Stay with that for a second. Being focused enough to get in the business and live out your dream every day. The passion that goes into doing that.
The passion that goes into doing it is, you know, I used to do this for a hobby where nobody paid me to tell stories. I was in high school, college, and then now that I've come back here to Atlanta, sometimes I do stories on my own time. You know, if I really believe in something, that hip-hop documentary, 80% of it was shot on my own time. You know, yeah, you know, because I was passionate about it, and I wanted to explore. If I want to explore a topic, I'll just go do it on the side, and if it looks really awesome, then I'll take it to management. So, you know, nothing can really stop your passion and your vision for storytelling, where you can do it on your own time, you can continue to live out your dream, but you also have to send that elevator back down. You can't just make it and not pull kids up where you are.
You got to keep the elevator moving.
Yeah, you know, you got to pull other kids up out their situation. You know, we got to, you know, grasp our youth so tight that they won't slip. And that's the message I'm always trying to get to the kids, like, okay, I understand the circumstances you're facing, but you're better than your circumstances. These circumstances are not just a part of your identity, this is your motivation. So I think it's more than just being a role model on TV. For me, it's knowing that I was one of those kids, and now that I'm in a position to be in the position I am, I want to help other kids to have a better life. So I started the 11 Alive Academic Achievement Awards, where I go to Clayton County and talk to kids and give them certificates. It's not always about the kid who has the best grades. You know, it's about the kid who shows potential, who may need that more than you could ever imagine, for somebody to recognize them.
Speak
you know?
on it. Speak on it.
So me, part of my passion is outreach, and this job allows me to do that as well.
Let me ask this. We're going to take us real quick. Your Somalian background, the West African background. How is that?
East African.
East African. I'm sorry. You're right. I'm
but we love all sides.
Yeah, we love Africa.
Must be two sides.
Shout out to Shawty Low.
But what your Shawty Low? What did that do for you and your parents and all that, coming over and doing that? What has that meant for you?
It's the American dream. You know, you come here with close to nothing, and you don't even speak the language. I didn't know English. You know, we didn't know the culture. We didn't experience 4 seasons. Like, first time I saw snow, I was like, "Ma, what's that?" So it was a cultural transition, you know, going from East Africa to East Atlanta.
East. To the east, my
He's
brother,
cracking
to
up
the
over
east.
here, yeah. I mean, my life was like coming to America, but without the royalty part. And there weren't no rose petals, you know.
Come to America has made it twice on this show, back to back. 2 days in a row.
Right. Wasn't no rose petals, but you know, had some McDonald's.
Baby, he got his own money.
He do. Yeah, but it was like the American dream. And then, you know, DeKalb County has a beautiful city called Clarkston, and that's where a lot of my aunts and uncles and cousins stayed. And Clarkston is so international. I think there's like 50 countries represented in that small city, where it's just a huge immigrant population. So that city allowed us to transition, and Atlanta has just been home. I identify with it so much because it's a part of who I am.
Hey, man, when we come back, we're going to wrap up our interview with Naima. See, that went fast. We'll be right back.
This is so much fun.
My savings are gone.
Okay, where were they last?
Here, right before I spent them on the vacation to Aruba.
Weird. Not weird. Not saving now means no money later. For free ways to save, go to feedthepig.org. This message brought to you by the American Institute of CPAs and the Ad Council.
So, I'm a dog, and I just got adopted by this new human guy, and I'm starting to wonder how he got along without me. I mean, okay, something as simple as walking around the block. he's got this leash thing, and he puts me on one end and him on the other, and I'm just taking him around. I think he's afraid of getting lost. Without that leash and me guiding him along, I don't think he'd find his way back home. But it's kind of cute.
A person is the best thing to happen to a shelter pet. Be that person. Adopt. Brought to you by the Ad Council and the ShelterPetProject.org.
When I grow up, I want to be a new pair of blue jeans.
When I grow up, I want to be a kid's first computer.
I want to be a warm fleece on a
I
cold
want to be
day.
a football
I want to be
stadium.
a bike that races around the country.
I want to be a bench on a forest trail.
When I grow up, I don't want to be a piece of garbage. And if you recycle me, I won't be.
Give your garbage another life. Recycle. Learn how at iwanttoberecycled.org. Brought to you by Keep America Beautiful and the Ad Council.
I'm more resourceful than I thought.
My suit can still make an impression.
My video games are still game changers.
And my lamp can bring others a bright future.
Because when I donate my stuff to Goodwill,
It helps fund job placement and training for people right in my community.
Now my stuff gets a second chance.
and will give someone in my community
A second chance too.
Goodwill. Donate stuff, create jobs. Find your nearest donation center at goodwill.org. That's goodwill.org. This message brought to you by Goodwill and the Ad Council.
Major key alert. Don't ever play yourself. The key is to make it, so make it.
Learn the real major keys to getting to college at getschooled.com. Brought to you by Get Schooled and the Ad Council.
This is big business. This is the American way.
Station Network.
See ya.
We're back with our crushing interview brought to you by ORC Software with Neima Abdulahi in the studio. So you created.
Gucci gang, Gucci gang.
She's hip hop. Have you met most of the Dungy family yet?
So I've met Big Boy. I have not. I really want to meet Andre 3000.
Everybody want to meet Andre 3000.
I know.
No, he got to come back home first. Come back home, Dre.
Hey, come out of retirement.
Yeah.
I have not, but I would love to. Every time I'm at, East Point and I'm passing by Headland and Tillow, I'm like, man, this is where history happened.
Yeah.
I met Killer Mike. He is so cool, so laid back. He Instagrammed one of my videos of me singing an Outkast song. And he was like, our news reporters be crunk. Like, he said something like that. I was like, yeah, you know how it is. But I would love to meet the Outkast, as not only as a fan, but to also tell their story one day.
So you officially changing your album, right?
Officially. Southern playlist.
Scratch that, get rich, or die trying. Scratch that.
I'm going to let you ride for it.
Just a little bit. Just a little bit.
The joy and passion you have when the light comes on, have the microphone in your hand, and you're getting that story. The feel.
I think it's rewarding knowing that I'm telling someone's story right. And I'm giving that person a platform to share their story with the world. For me, it's never been about being on TV. There's not a day where I'm like, I gotta get in front of the camera. I gotta turn my swag on. It's never been about TV. It's always been about storytelling. That's why I'm just like so laid back and chill all the time, because for me, it's about the people I meet. It's about the stories that I tell. And I just so happen to do that for television. And chasing my dream allowed me to wow managers with the kind of content I produce, which helped me as a 27-year-old, be in a top 10 market, getting hired here at 25, getting hired at 22 in Charlotte, and, skipping so many smaller markets because of my product. It's just been a blessing because I've been on grind mode since I was a kid. Shout out to the intern right there.
Yeah.
In a few years, you're going to be taking over this chair. That could be today, too.
Yeah. He's one heck of a writer.
Yeah.
He's one heck of a writer.
Being in Atlanta and with the African American women that are on air and on TV, does that bring a sense of pride to you?
It's great being in a city with so much diversity, but I think it's a reflection of the fact that Atlanta is a city where the minorities are the majority. The
tweetable.
Hey, mention me, hashtag
I
Never
will.
Dreamer, Drop Top Dreamer too.
Drop Top Dreamer.
Without the drop top because it's cold. But I think it's a reflection of Atlanta being a city where minorities are the majority. TV news markets always have to be a reflection of the cities that they're in. And when I When I walked into my newsroom, I came from a newsroom where I was one of few minorities on air. And, I walked into my newsroom now for my interview, and I was like, whoa, this is awesome. It was just like so much diversity, and it was just amazing how everyone was, super talented, hardworking, the synergy in my newsroom, the creativity, the passion for the city, the culture, the history. It was just like, it was phenomenal. So it's great to see so many wonderful journalists in Atlanta be given an opportunity to work in a city that is just amazing. And we all have a sisterhood, we work for different stations and all.
We see the IG.
Yeah, we see y'all turn up.
There's enough room for all of us to win.
We all can shine, baby. Let's all win.
Yeah.
All right, so you mentioned it. Give me all your handles, Naima Drina. Where can they find you at? Where they can find out more?
Shout it out.
Shout it out. Instagram, Neima Dreamer, Neimer. Dreamer, yes. Twitter, Neima News, Neima News. I think that's about it. You can find me on LinkedIn,
You got a
too.
Facebook.
Yeah, so Neima Abdulahi, 11 Alive.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah, so you have to type
Please
in
get
all
the
of
11
that.
Alive right.
Yes. Some days I hear Lem Live, Lem. I'm like, okay. Oh, you work for Lem Live?
Lem Live, baby.
Yeah.
Well, you got to come back, man.
I would love to. Also, Neima Dreamer was my 8th grade nickname that just stuck with me. I used to freestyle at the lunch table, and it always just stuck. I used to have bars. I retired.
She going to be on my mixtape, y'all. Don't worry about it. It's coming soon.
I'll drop 16 bars.
Thank you. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you. This is amazing. You guys have a wonderful platform, and thank you for having me part of the show.
We're about to take pictures now, man. We'll be right back.
Stunt.
Did you just look down at your phone? You did it again, didn't you? You're flying down the road in a 3-ton hunk of steel, and a text takes your eyes off the road for an average of 5 seconds.